I've been waiting for someone to question the climate. It's been a long time coming.
Number 10. Lil Fetus, All That. Brian Christopher Hearn stood out as one of the few black cast members during his seasons on All That. Hearn got the sense that Dan Schneider favored his white co-stars.
I didn't feel close to him at all. My time on Nickelodeon played a big part in how I dealt and still deal with racial issues.
This was reflected in multiple sketches, including one where Hearn had to sell cookies as if he were a drug dealer. There were more blatant instances of racism behind the scenes.
Yo, embryo, I'm still here, gestating, waiting, and incubating.
To portray a rapper named Lil Fetus, Hearn had to wear a bodysuit that matched his skin tone. Hearn isn't sure who, but when he was being fitted, somebody said that the costume should be the same color as charcoal. A crew member could tell that this comment deeply hurt Hearn, attempting to comfort him. Hearn, nonetheless, decided against telling his mom.
I know my mom, and I know that she would have rose hell.
Number 9. In the Jacuzzi with Dan, The Amanda Show.
Dan and Amanda had a close relationship, and I didn't think anything different than that. The hot tub scene, though, I thought was always a little odd.
Amanda's Jacuzzi was a recurring sketch on The Amanda Show. Wearing a bathing suit, star Amanda Bynes would interview a fully dressed guest in the hot tub with her. Cameos included Elvis, Babe Ruth, and Amelia Earhart. It was weird, but innocent enough, except for the time Dan Schneider joined her.
And he's kind of saying, I created the situation. I am the reason we are in this hot tub. I am pulling the strings.
Like the other guests, Schneider was fully clothed, making the idea of him hot tubbing with an underage girl a little less icky. Yet it's hard to watch the scene without thinking about Schneider's real-life dynamic with Bynes, namely how he tried to help her get emancipated.
The details are a little bit murky, but we know from sources that the police were involved. And we also know that Amanda's parents are really upset with Dan's actions through this.
Schneider might not be responsible for everything that's gone wrong during Bynes' adulthood, although his impact during her childhood arguably contributed to her future struggles. Number 8. Noseboy, All That. Joining All That in Season 4, Leon Frierson appeared in memorable sketches like Leroy and Fuzz, but he looks back at a particular character with awkward memories. He played a superhero named Noseboy.
What are your special powers?
The former child star already felt exposed in a tight leotard, although a few other additions to the costume elevated the discomfort. In addition to wearing a large nose on his face, the costume's shoulder pads came with prominent noses that looked more like, well, something that should have been censored.
This is a child playing this role, and he's playing it for other children. His audience is kids as young as 6.
You could argue that we're just seeing things, but two things hammer home the innuendo. 1. Noseboy sneezes snot on people, echoing another bodily function. 2. It's a Dan Schneider show. It's safe to say he knew what he was doing.
I get to write all the scripts with some very talented writers, but I can put them in any horrible predicament I choose.
Number 7. Judge Trudy classroom sketch, The Amanda Show. Quiet on Set spotlights an Amanda Show sketch where Judge Trudy takes her court to a classroom. The sketch itself is harmless, but there is a darker backstory buried there.
Excuse me. Overruled! What part confuses you? The over the ruled!
The sketch included an extra named Brandy, who grew up loving Nickelodeon and was excited to get her start in the industry. During this time, Brandy was befriended by a Nickelodeon production assistant named Jason Handy.
She thought, oh, this is somebody else on the set that seemed to be so nice, and she would have a friend in the industry. I thought, oh, this is going well.
Conversing online, it appeared that Handy was just being nice and wanted to help further Brandy's career. After Brandy received an indecent image, though, it became clear that he wanted something far more depraved. Her mother initially avoided contacting the police, but the authorities eventually found that Brandy was just one of the children Handy had been inappropriate with.
There was never any apology to Brandy herself for what happened. Everything got swept under the rug.
Number 6. On-Air Dares, Snick. They made it look like so much fun on TV, but being a Nickelodeon star can come with some gross baggage. The sugar and coffee sketch is one example.
It was taxing, and frankly, like, if you look at the sketch, it's gross. Like, it would congeal into this gross, viscous goo. It was weird.
For Brian Christopher Hearn, nothing was more stomach-churning than the on-air dares. SNL for kids is one thing, although Fear Factor for kids may have been asking too much from the All That cast. In this recurring snick bit, Hearn recalled being covered in peanut butter and having dogs lick him.
That sounds like some kind of awkward fantasy from some freaky dude. It was really uncomfortable. I didn't like that.
The visual discomfort Hearn expresses doesn't even begin to describe how he felt inside. While we wouldn't want to be in Hearn's place, we'd still probably take the peanut butter over putting a scorpion in our mouth, which was another dare.
If there's anything on set that I wish I could have yelled, stop, let's not do this, I'm out, it's still on their dares.
Number 5. Penelope Taint, The Amanda Show.
Hey, get back in line!
Sir, apparently you don't realize who I am, please.
Amanda Bynes played an assortment of colorful characters on her show, most notably Penelope Taint. Amanda's #1 fan, Penelope is essentially a stalker. While any kid can see that Penelope isn't right in the head, her last name eluded children and even adults.
I remember someone from Nickelodeon sitting with us and saying like, oh, does this mean, this dirty thing? And Dan was like, no, why would you think that?
When asked about the name's meaning, Dan Schneider said that it referred to tainting something. In reality, Penelope's surname was inspired by the area between one private part and another.
There's something so slimy about connecting this sexualized genitalia joke with a little girl who's portraying a little girl too.
Schneider explicitly instructed the crew not to tell the higher-ups. We could imagine the censors turning a blind eye to a one-off character, but a recurring one? If you feel like this ruins your childhood, please file a complaint at www.amandaplease.com. Seriously, look it up on Internet Archive.
So, what do you guys think of my website?
Come with us.
But I'm Penelope Tate! I'm Amanda's biggest fan!
Number 4. Juicing a Potato, Victorious. Ariana Grande is such an iconic pop star that it's easy to forget she got her start as Cat Valentine on Victorious. Watching Quiet on set, we're not sure how we forgot about some of the uncomfortably sexualized bits Grande had to partake in.
With that show, there were online extras that the network did not fully know how to deal with.
These ranged from putting tomatoes in a bra, to spilling water on her chest while on a bed, to putting her foot in her mouth. Dan Schneider shows had a lot of foot and mouth stuff. Yet, we're pretty sure that Grande was the only one asked to milk a potato. On the food chain of bad taste, potatoes might not be as suggestive as bananas or eggplant, but there's a reason why you can't do that on television.
We're adults, so we know what's going on, but this is a show for kids, so who is sexual innuendo for on a kids show?
Number 3. Something on Your Face, Zoey 101.
I really feel bad. Here, then have another goop off. Thanks.
Looking back at some moments from Zoey 101, we're inclined to ask, was that intentional? Alexa Nicholas, who played Nicole Bristow, will tell you yes.
It's appalling behavior on all the adults' behalf that day.
Nicholas recalled a particularly traumatic episode where her character accidentally squirts a tube-based snack called Goo Pop on Jamie Lynn Spears' face. One could argue that this is in the spirit of Nickelodeon's trademark slime, but the substance's shape and texture call something else to mind. We're not grasping at suggestive straws. According to Nicholas, somebody on set called out what the Goo Pop shot actually looked like. Not every young actor knew what this meant then, although they certainly do now.
I was like, oh. Wasn't funny. It still isn't funny to me, to be honest. It's just like, that's a kid.
The scene's sexualized nature is only made more uncomfortable knowing the pregnancy scandal Spears later faced. Number 2. Dan Schneider's Lifetime Achievement Award, 27th Kids' Choice Awards. In over 30 years, the Kids' Choice Awards have given out their Lifetime Achievement Prize to 2 individuals, Optimus Prime and Dan Schneider. One aged better than the other. In 2014, Nickelodeon stars from the past and present gathered to honor Schneider.
He is surrounded by so many different people from all the shows.
They're talking about how great he is.
Thank you, Dan. You're an inspiration!
Speaking about how key he was to their careers.
Having created so many hit shows for the network, Schneider seemed worthy of such praise. In only a few years, though, the public started to see Schneider in a different light.
For decades, Dan seemed like he was untouchable. But around 2017, the internet videos around Dan really started gaining momentum.
For all the careers Schneider helped launch, many felt victimized by him. Few have a lower opinion of Schneider than Jeanette McCurdy, who didn't show up to present this award. Some moments aside, we still enjoy many of these Nickelodeon shows, but we'll never look at their creator the same way again.
Dan, he behaved in a way that was pretty concerning and problematic, especially when it comes to women.
Number 1, Pickle Boy, All That.
Look, there's Brian Peck, aka Pickle Boy.
There was something very wrong with Pickle Boy. We're not talking about the time he handed a pickle to Ray Romano through a hole, although that did push some boundaries. In addition to playing Pickle Boy, Brian Peck served as a dialogue coach on multiple Nickelodeon shows, working with young stars like Drake Bell. There were evident red flags that Peck shouldn't be anywhere near children, such as his friendship with John Wayne Gacy. Yet Bell was caught off guard as Peck allegedly groomed and assaulted him.
I was just trapped, and I had no way out.
Only sentenced to 16 months, Peck received support from famous friends at the time and even found some prominent work after his conviction. Having watched Quiet on Set, though, more people are seeing the problem with Pickle Boy.
I'll see you in hell. Okay, see you there.
Has Quiet on Set made you question any other Nickelodeon moments? Let us know in the comments.
It raises some confusing questions on who to hold accountable.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.